We know each other.
Thank you all very much for coming. People might ask, how do we know how to do this? That's because Karl taught us how to do this. I think before I met Karl, I wouldn't have known what to do in the face of death. But it's very clear today that you make a lot of noise. And you know what's coming. And he decided there would be a samba band in his life. And when you walk alongside it, and the noise of the drums beats, sets up a vibration in your own chest, that's what you do in the face of death, which Karl is very clearly to all of us the gift that keeps on giving. He's here, he's not here, he seems very here today, and I'm very glad of that, and you all are as well, I'm sure. Karl was, if he was anything, he was about seizing the moment. And that's what this day is. It's knowing what to do in a situation, and I am gifted in his determination to be his better self all the time. Whether he found it easy or not, that's what he did. And being your better self is being generous and being open and allowing other people in and making a noise in the face of death, whether you feel like it or not. So in that spirit, we will do this hour and a half. And I bless you all for being here. And we are determined that there's a good show because he wouldn't have it any other way, that there's a bloody good show. So, thank you all. I'm going to do is to introduce Pippa James Longworth, Karl's longtime partner in life, in music. He adored making music with Pip, he adored being a friend with her, and she is going to sing for us now. Thank you. She is accompanied by their longtime collaborator, Leslie Ann.
Thank you very much indeed. What can I tell you about Karl that you don't already know? What an extraordinary individual, and how profoundly he has changed our lives, liberated us and given us so many memories. I just want to tell you quickly how I first met Karl. I was asked, along with him, to do a piece for Music Theatre Transparant in Antwerp. It was a piece about the war poet Ivor Gurney. There were just 3 of us in it, also a Belgian baritone. It was a very, very emotional piece because this was an extraordinary composer and poet, and Karl played Gurney and I played the woman that Gurney sent his music to while he was in the trenches. I arrived, I wanted to cry straight away actually because it was just such an intense experience from the outset. It was written and directed by Carlos Wagner, a dear and very close friend of Karl's. I do remember thinking, I wonder if they met each other before. And then the next day I thought, oh, I still wonder if they've met each other before. And then Karl went up to Carlos and picked him up and put him horizontally and swung him round. And I thought, oh, okay, so they must be friends. They must have met before. Anyway, we had an extraordinary time doing that piece. I was absolutely astonished by his stage presence, by his charisma, by his imagination. I was absolutely astonished. I knew of him by reputation. He'd come to prominence in Philida Lloyd's Gloriana. He'd done many, many wonderful roles that baritones would kill to sing. Figaro, the Count, Danilo, Marcello, and every single one of them he'd made his own. He was an extraordinary stage animal with a very, very beautiful voice. So I was honoured to be part of that. Because it was so emotional, at the end of rehearsals we used to go and drink an awful lot of beer and laugh about anything, really, absolutely anything. So by the time I left Belgium, we were really the firmest of friends. And the next thing that happened was I got a phone call, and Karl said, now darling, it's the 200th anniversary of Nelson and Emma coming through Chepstow. Now, we've made your costume, and if that was the beginning of the costume, probably not the beginning. Anyway, he said, now it's very simple, darling, you just have to sing Rule Britannia. Now, actually, you're going to be singing it out of the window where Nelson and Emma stayed. So, it's absolutely appropriate, and I think you can do Rule Britannia, can't you? So I said, yes, of course. And when I arrived, I found that the room that had the window that I was to hang out of was now a nail bar. So I had been made this very beautiful dress by somebody who's probably here. It was a very, very beautiful dress. I still have it, although I think not that I can get into it. So there I was with my bosoms, quite considerably strapped in, having to hang over a line of red, pink, green, yellow nails, all sticking up just where I needed to hang over in order to sing Rule Britannia. So my boobs, I think, were quite considerably pierced, one could say. And the next thing that happened was that Ned and Annie, seeing that this friendship between Karl and I was clearly going to cause all sorts of strange things to happen, obviously thought we must control this. And they asked us if we do a piece about Nelson and Emma, which we did, and we loved doing. And we sat outside the drill hall on our bottoms eating sandwiches while Annie gave us all sorts of photocopies about the journey of Emma Hamilton and Nelson. That was the point at which Opera Playhouse was born. And we took it to the Caribbean, where Nelson married Fanny. We took it to Spain, we took it to Africa, and then we made another piece called Bum Notes and Sliding Scales, which some of you will remember. He never said I was in charge of the bum notes, but I think I was. And then one of the shows that I've chosen to sing a piece from this show because it was probably the one that we did the most often over our 15, 16 years of working together. And I know that the vast majority of the singing club behind me and many, many people in front of me will have been in the audience for this. And it was Christmas in the Parlour. And we did it many, many times, and we were told emphatically that if we didn't do it, then Christmas couldn't begin. So would we just please put it into our schedule. So it was no great hardship. Although I do remember that we were a little bit Blue Peter about everything. So we would create the maddest sets, never make it easy, never use Velcro or anything like that. And we'd taken Christmas trees and fireplaces and Queen Victoria's, this, that and the other, and then the piano. So we were completely mad, and we knew we were, and it took maybe 3 hours to set up our set. So the relief of the evening was being on the stage. That was the easy bit, doing the show, and then we were taking it down again. But I wanted to sing this because obviously Karl and I did lots of silly things because he was immensely good fun, and fun and laughter came to him very, very easily. But one of the things that was so precious for me was that he was a very fine musician. He was a very sophisticated musician with a very broad bass. He played many things. He had a very liberated view of things, and it was liberating to work with him. But when we came back to doing a piece that we knew and loved, which one might call, a classical piece that you wouldn't necessarily mess around with because it was a wonderful piece of music already, I think we were absolutely at our happiest because it was challenging for us, and it required us to use our training to sing as well as we possibly could and to play the notes on the page, which is already can be a bit of a shock. So this piece used to open Christmas in the Parlour. It is the Purcell Evening Hymn, which in reality for me was about a few minutes before we were to start. Karl would say, "Go on, darling, go on, get to the back of the hall, get to the back of the hall." And I said, "Well, I don't know my way and there's mud. Can you just wait until I get there? I've got to light the candle and, I'm going to give you a wink or something." And he'd say, "Oh, yeah, not pay any attention at all." So I'd run off into the dark round some little village hall thinking, "Oh God, I'm never going to get there. He's going to start and there's only 4 bars and then I have to be in, and I'll be in some puddle somewhere with a candle." So it was quite stressful. And sometimes I just made it in time. And sometimes there'd be a member of the audience saying, excuse me, I've got to get in this concert, And I had to say, I am the concert. Can you please pull yourself together? So, this was a piece we both absolutely loved doing together. And when we came off in the interval, if we'd done it particularly well, we were very pleased with ourselves and we'd give each other hugs. So it mattered, this piece. It's always better if I got there just in time to light the candle. And as you remember, we used to get all the house lights down, and then I would walk slowly from the back, and I'd plan it, or I'd attempt to plan it, because it's a 3 or 4 minute piece, that in the last Alleluias, that I would be up on the stage with him, and the last 2 Alleluias are repeated, and the very last one, which is a long melisma, so it has lots of different notes, I would walk very slowly to Karl with my candle, and as I walked to him, I would carefully hold my candle out towards him, and we'd get to the last bar, sing the last bar, and then he would blow out the candle the moment that we'd finished the piece. And it always touched us very much anyway, and I felt that it was the right piece to sing because I hope that it would mean a lot to all of you, because most of the time I think I got to the back of the hall in time, so you would have heard the piece. I'll just gather myself. I need to pick up a glass of water. And I'm just going to read you the first lines of this poem. Now that the sun hath veiled his light, and bid the world good night, to the soft bed my body I dispose, then to thy rest, O my soul. This is Karl looking out for me. Thank you. It's a beautiful piece, isn't it? Now I'm to introduce a jolly piece. Just breathe out. Actually, not into a microphone. That's thank you very much, Leslie Ann. That was very useful. So I'm now to introduce the Dickens as it's known. Now, as you know, Karl was so inventive, it was ridiculous, I think, and quite selfish. He should have given us some of his talent, really. So, at the drop of a hat, he would rewrite words, or, if he was given a challenge, sometimes the deadline would creep a little close to the performance. But he always came up with something extraordinary. Not least the history of opera in 4.5 minutes, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen. Would that not help the theatres? Actually, probably not, because all it does is make you think, isn't opera wonderful, I must go to more. Anyway, he, as you know, used to rewrite all sorts of things. We did the Offenbach Barcarolle as an argument between a baritone and a mezzo-soprano, which could be closer to the truth, because we were both trying to barge in to sing the big tune. So that always made us laugh, which wasn't the idea really. But this piece he did was as the result of a lot of work we did for Sky Arts. It was really fun working for them, except that the first time they asked us, we had 10 days in the Hay Festival, and they said, we'll make you a little opera house. And we were a little bit put out, because of course we... Oh, I turned off. But there are two. Let's see, yes. So we thought, excuse me, I don't think you know about little opera houses because we have the best in the land. But they had more money than we had, and it wasn't as beautiful. It was pink and cream, and it wasn't as beautiful, but you could get 12 people in it, and you could get about 11 in ours. So anyway, they were very, very struck by us, and it became the biggest thing of the Hay Festival, actually. And you had to have a wooden spoon to get in. It was all very modern. So Sky asked us if we would be part of Mariella Frostrop's book show. So Karl wrote with extraordinary skill this little piece about Dickens. And we did it once, we thought extremely well, and we sat down planning what we were going to drink while they finished the show, because we thought we've peaked big time. And then they got up and said, I'm afraid Mariella's shoulder is in the way, would you do it again? Which, wasn't fun for Opera Playhouse. So, but what I can tell you is he was extraordinarily pleased with his line for Great Expectations. But you will hear every single book that Dickens wrote comes up, and you'll also hear me with my aerosol spray. But that was the only real skill that I brought to it. Everything else was the skill of Karl Daymond. So this is, I think, probably to be played on this screen. And this was Mariella Frostrop's book show, and it is the complete works of Dickens.